Hey, good afternoon. Happy Thursday. How are you doing today, everyone? Hello, hello. For the ones that don't know me and just came to this channel, welcome to the Lizy Tri Show. I'm hoping that you can join me today, interact with us, and obviously, have tons of questions. Now, right here on IGTV, there's a little circle for you to be able to ask some questions or interact with us. I will display them right here on the screen, and I'm looking forward to having a great old time. I know our guest is on the background right now, patiently waiting for us to invite him and will. So if you want to take this opportunity, Joe, to invite your fans, your peeps, your follower, that would be great. I will be right now inviting some of my followers that are connected with us today and that they're on, so that way we could have an amazing time with with um, with our viewers, because this topic today is a very interesting topic, especially. So, Joe, I'm sending you the links so you can forward it to everyone as well. It should be able to be forwarded to social, pretty much all social media. So I'm really excited to be able to talk about a topic that is, how can I put it? Times are changing, definitely. Times are changing, and we want to know, like people want to know, now that now that COVID is here, now that people are losing their jobs, now that there are no jobs, seems to that there are no jobs out there. What is someone to do, especially somebody who is leaving from just left or just finished college, university? They're applying for jobs. Some of you have seen the my ads on social media. We have an expert coming in today talking about a topic, how to land that perfect job. And also he has a workshop for you to be able to learn techniques, tips, things that probably you wouldn't be able to, probably college didn't teach you this, probably a job hunter or a specialist didn't tell you. So here, Joe, he is my guest. He will be able to give us amazing tips, the website, how to enroll in this course, and even more questions. So again, there is a little circle down here for you to be able to ask your questions. So if you want to be able to share this to your followers, Joe, that is great. So let me give you a little bit of bio for you to have an idea. Who are we talking about? What are we talking about? What is this all about? And how many people have his help? So I need my glasses on so for me to be able to read. So anyhow, we're speaking right now to Josef, and we call it Joe, Joe Stetter. I think that's how you say your last name. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering your name. And he is a recruiter, a career specialist, and an educator. Now, Joe is no one. He actually has helped over 10,000 people. He's helped filled 1,800 roles. He has created 20 manuals for 12 industry in a multi-company. So lots of information here, lots of knowledge, which he will be able to share that with you. Also, he's worked in this industry 16 years. Now, he incorporates humor, energy, passion, complete self-expression into personal and professional life. So this is his life, right? This is hola, Radio Bellavista. Hello. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for joining. So questions right here, please, on the little box. Let me continue on. He has helped thousands of people find their jobs and improve overall business skills while helping customer and companies overall to to find out their net worth and what is to tell them to find out what the biggest asset is. And we all know that the biggest asset is their employees. So again, he's a recruiter, helps with career transition, people that are probably switching jobs. What is the best? Is there a test that you can take? Got lots of good questions, isn't it? And wow, the questions are here, and the expert is here in the house. So without further ado, let's welcome Joe to the show, and hopefully all of your questions will be able to be answered today. If it don't, it's okay. You can always connect with us, and we will be able to get more answers for you. So let me welcome Joe to the show. Hello, Joe. Welcome to the Lizy Tri Show.
Hello, and thank you again for having me. It's such an honor and a privilege, Lizzie. I've been following your show, and you just do amazing things, so thank you.
I am so impressed with the amount of books that you have here on your background. It's incredible. I thought I had a lot of books, but you won. Incredible. So you have a good collection. I assume you read them all, and you're pretty informed, and you know, your collection probably keeps growing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's I love reading, and I find that, you know, there's new knowledge. That, you know, there's an adage in English that says the moment you stop learning is the moment you start dying. So I want to keep young as long as I can, so I read and I learn as much as I can.
I remember you saying that quote, and I've been using that, and you know what? I agree with you 100%, because it's definitely one of the things that people with Alzheimer's dementia, you know, there is a big collaboration when it comes down to stop learning, and that's really what causes, one of the causes, obviously there's many, of, you know, brain cells. So for people that don't know, that they're brand new to my circle, you are brand new to my circle. Can you tell us, you know, been doing this for 16 years now, so that's a long time. That's a lot of experience. That's a lot of expertise. How did you get into this job? How did you get into this niche?
So it's a combination of three things. First of all, I always kind of joke around that I did not know what I want to do when I grew up. So I kind of started my career path because my parents were very like European, you know, you have to get an education, you got to get a good career. So I switched careers 9 times myself, and I've gone through the trials and jobs about 17 or 18 times. And I've gone through the trials and tribulations of trying to prove to an employer that I have transferable skills, trying to prove that even though I work, let's say, in finance, I can still work in customer service, or I can work in something else. Then after that, at a certain point, I got into recruiting. My first year working for a recruiting company, I generated $760,000 in revenue for them. My supervisor, who'd been there for 11 years, generated $140,000. At the end of the year, when it came down to kind of Christmas bonus, the owner gave me cheese and crackers. And I looked at her and go, what is this? And she looked at me and goes, well, the cheese is from Pusateri's, which is a very high-end grocery store. And I looked at her and go, do I look like I'm 65 years old that I need cheese from Pusateri's? By the way, the crackers were from the dollar store. But I was like, you know what? All of this business I brought in by myself. I built those relationships. It's not your company or your brand that did it. It was me that kind of did it. And if this is how you're going to treat me, I don't need you. So I decided to kind of open my own firm. And then along the process of the careers that I've switched, as you can see from my books, I'm very big into self-development. So, for example, when I did the Tony Robbins Walk of Fire, after doing the exercise, I was so empowered. And then I had a moment where I was like, how come nobody teaches these mindset principles to job seekers? And that's when the aha moment kind of came in, and I realized I want to dedicate my life to help people navigate how to get hired faster and easier. And so in the process of starting, I started kind of giving workshops with all of the welcoming centers for immigrations, you know, some of the like access, costly, all of the kind of centers there. So I did larger groups to spread the word. And I've had the pleasure and the joy of helping over 11,000 people now to find a job they love. I have a 90% success rate of finding anybody employment in any field in under 3 months, including new immigrants with zero Canadian experience. The fastest I found people a job is 2 days. And I've done that with about 30 people.
No way. Okay. So for you that are watching now or will be watching later on, you probably are wondering, this is too good to be true. Especially being a immigrant myself, one of the first things that you hear, not just an immigrant, but a new person that comes. There's so much the information that you give us right now. I'm overwhelmed. But one thing at a time. You have no experience because you have never been in Canada, and kids that are leaving college, university, again, you need to do a volunteer job because you have no experience in the course or what you study. So how are you able to overcome those struggles that people, new immigrants and recent graduate are facing?
So I'm going to address new immigrants first, and then I'll address new graduates. And then if it's okay with you, I'll share a quick story or two about it. So first of all, I'll start with the new immigrants. Canadian experience does not exist. It's actually illegal to ask for Canadian experience. Canadian experience is actually a loophole in the system that says, is your English good enough? Because we don't want to discriminate on your English. And second thing that it says is, for example, if you were more senior back home and you're applying for a more junior role just to get your foot in the door, we're worried you're going to be bored and you're going to leave us very quickly. Or it means I'm worried that you're going to do such a good job that I will be out of a job very soon, right? So with new immigrants, for example, when my father first came to Canada, my father was a civil engineer until the day he died, when he came to Canada, he built all the highways in Ivory Coast. So in 1980, before people knew what $1 billion was, he worked on $1 billion project. Now, when my father came to Canada, he was fluent in 10 languages. Wow. And for about 9 months, he couldn't find a job. And he finally went to a small construction company and said, I will work here for free for 2.5 months. If during those 2.5 months, my work is not as good as any Canadian project manager, you pay me nothing and you can fire me at any time. But if at the end of 2.5 months, my work is as good as any Canadian project manager, you hire me full-time, you pay me for the 2.5 months that I've worked and you hire me full-time. Within 3 weeks, they made him the senior project manager for the entire company. Now, this is where like a lot of immigrants, when they come to Canada, plaster their resume with my experiences abroad, my experiences abroad, my experiences abroad, which Canadians don't like. So one of the things that I do when I teach people is, if you work for a big company, like let's say Deloitte & Touche, don't say Deloitte & Touche, let's say Uruguay. Just say Deloitte & Touche. Take out the Uruguay. So by taking out the Uruguay, if they like the way that you formatted your resume, you formatted the information, then they'll call you for an interview. And when they call you for the interview, you can take ownership of the fact that you hid that you don't have Canadian experience, but you're already in the interview. So they'll actually give you the shot to present what you have to say and how good you are at it, right? And that's why I've had huge success, because I've learned along the way that there's ways of getting your foot in the door. Once the foot's in the door, then it's up to you to kind of do the same. Now, in terms of new students, again, the biggest problem that's happening right now around the world, but predominantly North America, is that when the Industrial Revolution kind of started, the standard cookie cutter resume that says, you know, you're a hardworking, dedicated, committed team player, was what was taught to us. You know, one of the greatest books on job finding was What Color Is Your Parachute? And that was kind of the Bible of how to approach job finding. And no one's really questioning it. We're now in the technological revolution. So, you know, in 20 years of recruiting, I've met very few people that say, listen, I'm lazy, I'll show up late, none of my work will be any good, and I really hate people. Please hire me. Not unless you're related to them or you're having an affair that you might be able to get away with that. Now, this is where most, let's say, university graduates, they do have experience. Even if they've worked in retail, they have experience. They just need to share. And if they don't have experience, highlight what they did in school. Highlight the grades that you got. Highlight the projects that you did in school so that there is a value of what you bring to the table. And this is where I wanted to share one of my success stories. So when I first started kind of helping people find a job, this is going back about 15 years. I also started salsa dancing and performing and competing 15 years ago. And
that's why you got your Spanish fluent. By the way, Yadira from Puerto Rico, she's here. Thank you for joining us. Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Hola,
that's
hola.
where you get your Spanish from.
Right. So, so one of my dance partners was in college studying graphic design, and she calls me up and says, "I saw this internship opportunity with Bell Canada. It's an unpaid internship. And I really, really, really want it." So as soon as she said that, I kind of laughed, like, "You really, really want it?" She's like, "Yeah, I'll do anything." I'm like, "Okay, so I'm going to be like your Mr. Miyagi from the Karate Kid. Whatever I tell you to do, you have to do it. Don't question anything." I said, first of all, your resume. Since you're applying for a graphic design role, your resume is not allowed to be black and white, right? Because the word graphic and design are in your job title. So we made her entire resume green. Instead of using the regular black circles that 90% of the population uses, she had for her digital work like a little dancing guy, probably the salsa background as well, as her signature for all of her work. So we use that as her bullet points. Now, for example, she was a barista at Second Cup. So I wrote on her resume how her being a barista is actually graphic design because she had to draw the lattes to the customers and do a picture for them, right?
Wow.
She sent the resume in. 2 weeks go by. She calls me. She goes, "They didn't even call me. You suck."
Oh.
An hour later, they called her. The director called her and said, "Listen, I'm so sorry I haven't called you earlier. We received 7,400 applications for 20 unpaid internships. Your resume was one of our favorites. Because we received so many candidates, we're going to do 3 interviews to see who the right candidate is. Your first interview is going to be in 2 days." So she calls me back. She says, oh my God, the call, what do I do?" I'm like, first, apologize to me, right?
Of course, yeah. Minimum. That's the minimum thing that she has to do.
Then I said to her, like, after we joked a little bit, I said, okay, first thing I want you to do is to take your portfolio of your 10 best pieces of work. I want you to go to Staples or Kinko's or wherever it is, print them on the highest quality glossy paper, and then take all of your art that you've created and organize them in a folder that's easily accessible where you don't have to log in and log in. And she did that. I taught her my 7 rules to a perfect interview and the psychology of the interview. And she came to the interview 2 days later. 15 minutes into her first interview, the director looked at her and said, "You know what? I've been running this program for 10 years. I have never been so impressed with the candidate as I am with you. You are my first hire. I'm not even bothering with the second and third interview." Right? And then again, she was still in college when this internship occurred. So understand that it's all about how you present things that makes a difference in terms of why people are calling you or don't call you. Most people make the same mistakes all over.
That is incredible. That is incredible. Joe, I have to tell you, I know that you were special, and I know that you had a lot of information to share with us. And I know that by watching some of your other interviews, this was going to be an epic show, and I did wrote that on our history. But the amount of information that you've given us right now, I haven't seen anywhere, and I haven't even come across to the amount of tip that you're sharing with us right now, which is, I want to thank you so much. By the way, guys, this guy is really, really busy. Joe is unbelievable. He's running workshop, he's running seminars, he's running lots of things going on, especially nowadays. So if you want to catch them, if you want to ask your question, please do so. There is a little bubble right here if you're able to see with questions, so you can ask them right now. So let's change a little bit the dynamic here, Joe, because things are different. We're in COVID. There are no jobs, apparently, and
Well,
you probably are going to.
people are looking in the wrong places. There's tons of
Aha! I knew you were going to say something. Yes, yes.
So here's the thing to understand. Yes, like according to the news, 60 to 65 million people between the United States and Canada lost their job. I'm not dismissing that in any way, shape, or form. However, most of the people that lost their job are retail kind of minimum wage jobs. So there is jobs. So for example, right now, let's say there's a huge demand for call center employees to be customer service for a company. And they're hiring like crazy. They can't keep up. They're, you know, Amazon's business has skyrocketed because of COVID. Yeah. So they're hiring warehouse people for more money than what you would earn in retail, for example, because they need people and they need shifts and so forth. Now, this is where I will say, in combination of a little bit of background on the job boards and why people are not getting responses or results. Number one, understand that prior to COVID, Indeed, which is the largest database for jobs, had in North America between 38 and about 42 million users. That means that one job posting was getting between 350 and 5,000 applicants. Okay. Right now with COVID, because more people are unemployed, more people are realizing how much they hate their job or whatever, the competition is probably 5 times higher. That means there's 1,500 to 10,000 applicants for one job posting. So one of the things that we forgot or we lost the art of is the human connection. So let's say most jobs in North America say, don't call us, we'll call you. And most people in North America go, okay, I'll wait. And then they say, I sent out 500 resumes, nobody's calling me, there's no jobs. No, your resume sucks and you're not taking action. That's what I tell them. Because here's the thing. You can call HR for a company and say, my internet just crashed. My computer's been giving me problems all day. You know, my battery just died. Can you check if my application went through? Because you have to understand, even if I take the low end of 350 applicants for a job, most companies look at the first 100. So if you're 101, you're not being seen. If you're 101, they don't see you. When you call and say, you check if you got it, you now become number 1. Because they've pulled your resume to the top. Now they've pulled your resume, you're speaking to HR on the phone. You can say, okay, before you hang up, I just want you to know, here's the, let's say, 2 contributions I made, and these are the results I produced that you should know about, because if you hire me, I will do it even better for your company. So now you plant the seed that they want to speak to you and hire you. And then the third thing that you should do is say, okay, since I already have you on the phone, when are you going to start interviewing for this role? If they say we're going to interview, let's say in a week, say, if I don't hear back from you in 2 weeks, do I have permission to call you, say, Lizy, as an expert and ask you to give me feedback on my resume on how I can make it stronger and better so I might have a chance next time? Wow. So you've created a line of conversation that if they didn't call you the first time, when you call back, you might remind them how good you are, and then they'll say, oh, you know what, why don't I interview you, for example? And you're creating that opportunity. Most people don't create the opportunities at all, right? Now, a few things that you need to understand about the online databases, the job boards. So most of the job boards refresh their database between 11:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 2:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you, let's say, you lost your job due to COVID in October, and you posted your resume on Indeed, and you haven't touched your resume on Indeed, you're probably on page 7,000. Nobody will see your resume. Nobody will see it. So
Right.
one of the tricks, and
It kind of works like Gigi when you don't pay for your ad to be on top. Got it. Can you pay Indeed to have your resume on top?
so you don't need to pay. There's a few tricks that you can do to actually score higher. So since I mentioned that the database is refreshed between 11:45 and 2:45 a.m., before you go to bed, depending on when you go to bed, go into your resume on Indeed, open it, press spacebar anywhere on the resume, and press save. The moment that you press spacebar and press save, you've actually changed your resume. So it's now a new resume, which means that when the database refreshes and looks at all the resumes, your resume is now fresh. It's now new. So now you have a higher chance of being seen because of the fact that you kind of refreshed, right?
That's an incredible tip, Joe. My goodness, thank you so much. And people are saying we got audio here. Thank you so much. Amazing information. Those two girls has just joined. Thank you so much. Question, guys, right here. The amount of golden nuggets there that Joe is graciously giving us today, you will not be able to find it anywhere. And trust me, I thought I was good at helping people with, finding jobs, but obviously I have no idea what I'm doing because we have an expert here doing great things and helping people. I mean, the amount of jobs that you help people to find, it is incredible. So let's say somebody has been called. Obviously, you've proven that you can help people. Now, because they're not able to do interviews face-to-face, most of the interviews are being done via Zoom. How does somebody become, again, being on top for that selection while you're doing Zoom? Because Zoom is very intimidating. It's like doing, a television interview, kind of like what we're doing here on IDTV, and a lot of people freeze. So any tips that can help anyone out there, do a much better job on their Zoom interview?
So I'll start with the first and most important thing. Smile. 95% of people forget to smile in an interview. Smiling releases endorphins that will help you relax. It also creates a conversation rather than question, answer, right? And part of what I teach in kind of the course that I created for people is come in to the interview with confidence. Come in like you already have the job. Right? So anybody that's worked even retail and their supervisor came and says, you know what, you're doing a really good job. We'd like to give you a little bit more responsibility, a little bit more money. Are you interested? They don't say, Lizy, tell me about yourself, which by the way, is one of the most useless, loaded questions in an interview, right? Because most people don't know how to answer this question. It's like, oh, tell me about yourself. Oh, I have two beautiful kids. I love to travel. I love to read. That has nothing to do with the job. They don't care about that. If you're ever asked that stupid question, look them in the eyes, or if you're shy or it's against your culture to look into the eyes, look above the eyebrows. It's a martial arts trick because they give you peripheral vision. And say, where would you like me to begin? Whatever they tell you to begin, they've just told you, this is important. This is probably what you'll do on the job. Because if it wasn't important and it wasn't what you'll be doing on the job, why would they ask you about it? Right? So similarly, if they ask you, and you give an example and they say, can you expand on this example, or can you give me a second similar example, they've just told you, you've said the right things. We're considering hiring you. Because they wouldn't ask for a second example or an expansion unless there is. Now, one of the key mistakes that most people do, both on their resume and an interview, is they focus on, like, my duties were and my responsibilities were kind of conversation. So I'm going to pick, let's say, an accountant, right? Have you ever met one accountant that does not know how to make financial statements?
Not really.
And if they don't know how to make financial statements, how are they an accountant? Right? That's my question.
They're probably not a good one.
Right. So it's redundant for me to say I know how to do something. So I always use this example because most people find this funny, is to kind of say, look, if someone's, let's say, applying to be a receptionist, and they come in and say, I know how to answer the phone, a potential employer should look at them in shock and go, really? A receptionist that knows how to answer the phone. We did not know that. Because unless you live in a cave or a Mennonite or live in an igloo, chances are you know how to press the green button and go, hello, how can I help you? So it is redundant to say you know how to do something. But if you say, I studied at school or I worked here and I answered 60 calls a day with 12 different lines, I can measure 60 calls a day with 12 different lines. I cannot measure, I know how to answer the phone. The majority of the population that has trouble finding a job keeps saying, I know how to do this. I know how to do this. Right? So an engineer that tells
that's another great tip. You know, take that, I know how to do this, out of your vocabulary on an interview, because obviously it's not going to grab any employer possible jobs to your advantage.
Right. So say, here's the results I produced. Here's how great I am at what I do. Because when you talk about results, it's creates a level of interest. So if I use, let's say, a personal example, I can say to you, I've done B2B sales, B2C sales, I've done account management, I've done relationship building, I've done lead generation. Okay? Do you know anything about how good my results are? Lizzie, do you know anything about how good my results are just because I said I know how to do those things?
Yes.
Well, again, you know my bio. But here's now. So if I said I know how to do B2B sales, B2C sales, relationship building, lead generation, account management, versus saying to you, you know what, along the careers that I've switched, I worked for a private college that before I came in generated $530,000 in revenue for the entire year. I generated in 1 month for them $860,000.
Wow.
Now, which one will convince you that I'm a great salesperson? The first one that says I know how to sell to these people, or
obviously
the numbers
the second
I gave?
one,
right.
The numbers you gave us.
Right, and this is what the majority of people do not do when they interview for a job. They say, yeah, I know how to do this, and yeah, I know how to do this. And they think just because, let's say, Lizzie, you're smiling at me right now and I'm smiling back at you, it's a great conversation. I think I aced this interview, I got the job. But if you're not giving me results, it's a mute conversation. Look, it's no different in, let's say, the social world, in dating, right? If I tell you a joke and you're not laughing at my joke, I'm not funny to you. But if I tell the same joke to 10 people and they're in tears laughing from that joke, to them I'm hilarious. That's the difference. It's in the listening. So if you minimize the I know this, and you focus on here's how good I am, here's why I'm better than everybody else, the company has to listen to you in that. And when they listen to you in that, you become the standard that everyone else that's applying for the same job is held to. So unless someone has a higher standard than you or better results than you, you're the person getting the hire, basically. Now, there is a little bit of, is your personality matching? Is it a cultural fit? There's a few other factors. I am definitely oversimplifying this here in the interview, but like the way that I've taught people and I've developed a formula and a system that kind of addresses 98% of interview questions, because there's a psychology and there's science behind it, is that the only thing that should be left at the end of the interview is, do they like you or not, rather than can you do the job or not. And those are two very big differences. Those are very big differences.
Yeah. Wow, wow, you are incredible. The amount of information that I'm getting and that I am learning, it's out of this world, and I'm hoping that you're able to, if you are watching with us right now live, get a little bit of golden nuggets, because there's so many of them. You're probably going to have to watch this again. It is saved here on IGTV, and it will be put on our YouTube channel as well. But questions, again, that there's a little circle for you to be able to ask a more specific question. If not, then you'll be able to ask us later on as well. So you do run I mean, I don't know what else is there to learn, because it seems to me that you've given us everything, but
Oh, this
obviously
is just the tip
there
of
is a lot more. I was just gonna say this is probably the tip of the iceberg. So for people that are interested in they're wondering, how do I learn more? Can you share with us, where can people sign up for? I know you have many workshops running right now and on an ongoing basis.
So there's a combination. So I created a Facebook group called Land Your Dream Job. Nice and simple. You can kind of join the group there. I share videos there. I share kind of motivational quotes. I share resources there. Not only that, but I've created kind of an online course, which is my 25,000 hours of experience and knowledge into kind of a guaranteed results course, where the only reason you would fail is that you don't take action. Because I've done the homework for you, and I've explained it to you in a way that goes, okay, here's how you work with employment agencies, right? Here's a list of all the large employment agencies in Canada. Here's the list in the US. Here's how to beat the job boards. There's more tips. Here's the job boards in the US. Because sometimes companies will go, oh, you applied on Indeed. Everybody knows Indeed, so I'm not going to look at your resume. But if you apply through, let's say, allstarjobs.com, not too many people know about allstarjobs.com. So they'll call you from allstarjobs.com, even though you also applied at Indeed, right? So I've given you a list of, 250 job boards in Canada and 300 in the US that you can reach out to. I teach you how to optimize your LinkedIn profile. I teach you how to network and where to network. So I don't know if you're noticing, but I'm wearing purple shirt. Purple is my favorite color. I always wear purple when I do an interview, when I go to networking events, when anything. Why? Because it's part of my branding. Yes, I said the word branding. You need to brand yourself when you're interviewing, when you're networking, when you're this, so that people can emotionally relate to you. Because if let's say, Lizy, you and I met in a networking event and there's like hundreds of people there and you have tons of conversations, and I say to you, like, I got your card or I got your information, and when I follow up with you the next day, I say, Lizy, hi, this is Joseph, the guy with the purple shirt. You might not remember my name, but you'll remember the purple shirt. So now you can kind of remember the conversation with the purple shirt. And that will increase your chances of somebody responding to you, let's say from a networking event, than just, hey, Lizy, I heard that you're an executive and here's my resume, can you hire me? Because you haven't earned the right. You haven't built that relationship with the person. They don't know who you are. They don't know what you're about. And just because you send them a resume doesn't mean I'm hiring you right away. So I teach you how to network correctly. I teach you kind of what to say, what questions to say. I teach you the art of the resume. Most people kind of write cookie cutter resumes, and they commit what I call the 5 cardinal sins of a resume. Right?
Okay.
The first cardinal sin is that they use Times New Roman, Arial, or Calibri as their font, because those are the 3 most popular fonts on Microsoft Word.
Okay, so I've heard, and again, I'm not the expert, everyone, but I've heard if you use one of those 3 fonts, you look more professional. It's easier for an employee to read, and you don't want to go too fancy because they're thinking that you think you're already too special. So those are all myths, I assume, because you're probably going to debunk this right now.
There's 2 sides to the equation. It also depends on the type of job you're applying for. If you're applying for government or government-related, then yes, use those fonts because that's all they care for. They don't want personality. But like, let's say I talked about graphic design. You have the word design in your title. So make it creative, for example, right? And so I'm going to use this as an example for those of you who ever watched the movie Legally Blonde. When Elle Woods applies to Harvard or applies for the
my favorite movie,
or applies to the internship, she gives a pink scented resume. And everyone goes, it's pink and it's scented. But they remember it. So I teach people, like, in a resume, whether you use a little bit of color to break the eyes a little bit, whether you underlined or bolded something, whether you use a text box, a quote, you know, you can go to insert text box. I'm not a graphic designer. Insert text box on Microsoft Word and kind of just add a little box for your name. That changes your resume. That gives your resume a little bit of personality, right? And separate you from everybody else. Because again, if an employer is spending between 8 and 30 seconds reading your resume, when they get a pile of resume this big, they just kind of flip through it and go, ooh, one with color, let's pull it out. Or, ooh, I recognize that company name, let's pull it out, for example, right? They don't actually read your resume in details. They're scanning to see if something in the first third to the first half of the page is relevant or interesting.
Okay, so well, let me ask you this. Now that they're not mailing paper, they're going through emails or a database that spit out the resume and the cover letter. How are you going to come out up front or better than any other email? What's going to catch their attention again? Because we're talking virtual now. Things have changed.
But here's the thing. So it depends on how old the database is. If it's an older database, and I'm going to say, like, let's say Monster had a big head that they were the industry leader and they didn't need to update. And because they didn't update, they've kind of fallen behind, let's say, Indeed and some of the other competitors like Glassdoor and Career Builder and so forth. So those databases, yes, old school, pre-formatted, kind of cookie cutter works best. However, a lot of the new platforms will allow you to attach a file. So if you attach it as a PDF, because there's less chances of any viruses or any problems in a PDF, you can make your resume creative and make your PDF creative. Same thing with cover letter, right? You can say, hi, I saw your job posting and I think I'm perfect because I have 10 years of experience and blah, 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 which is boring. Or you can kind of wordsmith a little bit the level of, like, so like, for example, one of my old cover letters, I started my cover letter by saying, what am I looking for? I'm looking for an exceptional company that's looking for an exceptional employee that's looking for exceptional results, right? I know what you're thinking. That's what everyone says. But
yes,
I can pull the goalie and win the game. I can run with the ball, kick the ball, you know, hit the ball, whatever kind of ball you want to throw in. And if sports analogies doesn't work for you, here's my next pitch as to why I'm great at what I do, right? So just by changing the words a little bit, all of a sudden people go, ooh, this is a little bit creative. This is somebody that thought a little bit about the words. It's not, I went in Google, here's a template, I just changed 3 words and put my name on it kind of thing, right? There's a little bit of that personality in you. So yes, you're allowed to kind of give that personality. And if you're allowed to attach a file, again, depending on the type of role that you're applying for, like anything to do with like marketing, your resume should be more creative. Anything to do with sales, you're allowed to do creative, right? Even like, let's say pharmaceuticals or whatever, you can like, I wrote a resume for someone that got hired at Apotex where I put a watermark on her resume of a DNA molecule, for example.
Wow.
Right?
Wow, that's crazy.
So again,
but
it's
creative, and I assume that this person got picked probably.
Oh yeah, of course, right? So I wouldn't be sharing the stories if they didn't get picked. But this is what I'm saying. There's a lot of ways that you can play with. Look, there's a lot of professionals out there for everything, right? At the end of the day, I'm choosing professionals to work with either because of their reputation, because of their personality, because of this. So there's a level where companies are hiring. No one is hiring you because there's an empty chair. Because even now with COVID, especially now with COVID, there's a lot of empty chairs. In fact, most people aren't going to the office at all, so all the chairs are empty.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're hiring you because you have the ability to make them more money, save them more money, or increase their efficiency. That's what companies want to know about. They don't care about everything else. They care that you can make the money, saving money, or increase efficiency, right? So let's say, if I use social media, Lizy, because this is part of your realm, right? If someone says to me, I can increase your kind of followers on Instagram organically. I go, okay, what results have you produced? And they go, oh, I can get you 200 followers organically. I don't know anything about Instagram. My wife helped me with my Instagram, and we got to 200 followers pretty easily. Right? So I'm not necessarily impressed when someone says, I got 200 followers. But if someone says, I took an Instagram account with 200 followers and made it 10,000 followers in 3 months, all organically, now you've got my attention because
Now you're talking.
Right. And so I can say, okay, what did you do? Can you explain to me a little bit of the strategy, right? So you're interviewing me on Instagram today. Again, there's a strategy behind that. There's a level of you're more engaged in Instagram, so that's why you prefer that platform. So there's a level where when you know the tools and you know the techniques, you can produce better results. In my case, the tools, the techniques, the systems have to do with job finding. I've kind of spent 25,000 hours mastering it, and now I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm going, there's too many people that tell me it took them a year to find a job in their industry. I don't care if they're new immigrants. I don't care if they're new graduates. I don't care if it's people that have had, let's say, a criminal record, but now are trying to restart life, for example. And
or a person that has been working for an industry or for a company for a certain period of time, and they decided to take their package and start a brand new career. There's so many of those people starting right now.
Or one of the things that COVID hit them, and now they need to kind of figure out what they're doing, right? So either way, the system is the same. The only thing that changes is the examples that you give based on your professional knowledge and background, right? So that's kind of where I've done this because I've done this with 11,000 people. I have a foolproof system that guarantees results. Like one of the, sorry, 1 second. Somebody's trying to call me, so I'm going to reject that. So, like, for example, my brother was finishing his third-year mechanical engineering degree, applied for an internship. By the time one of the companies responded, he already registered for his fourth-year classes, and it was going to be more of a paper pusher job than a pure mechanical engineering job. So he asked me to cancel the interview. I decided to go in as my brother. I studied economics and business. The only thing I know about mechanical engineering is what I wrote for him on his resume. My first interview, there was 100 students there from 4 major universities in Ontario. Within 45 minutes, human resource called me back, said, we love you, we need to come back for a second interview. I was like, all right, let's see how far I can take this. My second interview was with the manager of the department that I potentially worked with. Now, I spoke the truth about my brother's resume. So my brother was on a team that designed a wheelchair for third world nations that used a tank chain so it can go on any train. Came second in Ontario for the best mechanical engineering project of the year, won $500 from RBC, told the manager I studied thermodynamics and quantum physics. To this day, I have no idea what that is. In the parking lot, the manager called me back and said, I adore you. I need to come back for a third and final interview. Out of 100 candidates, I made it to the final 3. I was the first one in at 8:30 in the morning. Manager walked over to me and goes, here's your offer letter. The job's yours. All you have to do is pass this mechanical engineering test. I looked at him, I looked at the test, I looked at him, I looked at the test. I'm like, I can't do this test. Manager looked at me and goes, I know you're nervous. Let me help you. He solved the first 2 questions for me.
Wow.
To him, I said, listen, I guess I'm a lot more comfortable with the design than I am with the calculations. I don't think I'm the right candidate for the job. Thank you for the opportunity. Manager followed me to the car and begged me to take the job because I'd interviewed that much better than every other mechanical engineer.
I second Adita Ho. Wow, that's insane. Absolutely. Joe, I don't want to run out of time, and I really want for you to share, because I know that you do workshops. I know that you connect with people. I know that you're able to do a one-on-one, and you do webinars and things like that. So where can people get that information for you to? I know you're running workshops constantly. Can you share with us your information for people to reach?
Yeah. So the first one is Land Your Dream Job on Facebook. You can join the group. Secondly, you can find me as Josef Stetter on LinkedIn, and there's my business is called the Celebrate Group, so you can find that as well very easily. And the course that I created, which is only $97, no, you don't need to invest $10,000. It's $97. It's straight up. You get all the information you need. It's called Dream Job Mastery. The Bitly code is 35, capital V, capital G, capital K, small g, and M. And that's like direct access to the course. I think I sent you, Lizzie, the link. If you can kind of post it on the Instagram, that'd be amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and like my purpose is to try and make sure that people kind of figure out and they know what's available, and the fact that there's lots of jobs out there. There might not be the same job description as what they're used to, but there's definitely plenty of jobs out there.
I find that you probably have one of the most rewarding companies in the world, because you probably feel like $1 million to be able to help someone that, especially that just came to Canada, for example. As you know, I'm an immigrant myself, and sort of, well, you don't sound like, you don't look like, but anyhow, so in people that are coming out of college, you know, like you said, I know so many young. I have 2 teenagers, and even my daughter said, "Mom, what am I going to do? Where am I going to work? There's nothing out there." And I said, you know, be an entrepreneur. You don't have to work. But anyhow, there's so many situations. Young people are lost with knowing what to do, and I think it must have make you feel like $1 million to be able to help people from all different cultures and backgrounds and ages. You probably go to sleep with a big smile every day. How does it make you feel?
With a big smile every day, because life's too short to be miserable. So that's part of my approach. But yeah, listen, you know what? It took me 18 different jobs to get to, oh my God, I know what I want to do. And there's a level where I purposely created a program which is not regurgitating the same information that everyone is telling you, like, you know, don't smoke before an interview. Like, if you don't know that by now, that's a whole other conversation. I don't want to, like, you know, like, I don't want to say networking is a good idea. You said networking can help you get a job, because that's useless information to me.
Yes.
I want to say, like, here's a list of, like, in my program, I have a list. Here's a list of kind of 50 ideas where you can network. Then industry-specific searches to know how you can network. Here's what you should wear. You know, ideas on how to brand yourself. Here's the conversations you should have. Why? Because they're different than everybody else. And if you have better conversations, that networking will be more productive. And so again, it's a model where that's why I also don't call myself necessarily like a coach, a lifestyle coach, more like mindset coach, because yes, finding a job requires a mindset. Sometimes looking for a job is a harder job than the actual job, right? And people get very frustrated because they tried this, it doesn't work. They tried this, it doesn't work. And then they kind of get to a point where desperation kicks in. And I've been there.
Yes.
And I know what that's like. But
it's very tough. I just want to mention Sabrina. She's here. She is from Ottawa. She is a singer-songwriter. She's probably wondering, I've actually had her on the show last year. I can't believe it, by the way. I didn't even say to you, Joe, happy 2021, happy new year. It's crazy. You just dumped so much information here. I'm still doing. And Lady Click, she is a photographer, self-employed. Thank you so much for joining. We're speaking to Joe. He is a recruiter. He is a career specialist educator. She does, you know, I know Lady Click has youth as well. They're probably wondering where can they get their next job. Follow Joe, because this guy is has so much information, has given us so far so many golden nuggets, and he has workshops to help people from all different
and still not give you all the information that I know, but I can give you enough that it at least starts you on the right track. And you know, my goal is to see people hired, let's say in a month and a half, not 6 months to a year. So when people work with me or do my program, the idea is that you're paying for my expertise, and I'm teaching you the tricks, the systems, the tools, the techniques to get noticed faster, to get hired faster, and get your own life back on track. Because losing a job is one of the biggest causes of divorce. It's one of the biggest
Mm-hmm.
causes of stress because, especially for men, their job is usually their identity. And so
Mm-hmm.
when they don't have a job, they don't know who they are anymore. And it's a level where, as much as there's support, they need to kind of make peace with themselves. And until they kind of back on track with it, that stress kicks in. Everything of like, how do I pay my bills? How do I do this? If you're ready to be
Mm-hmm.
an entrepreneur, awesome. Congratulations. Enjoy being an entrepreneur. But even if you're wanting to be an entrepreneur, but you don't have enough cash flow to pay for your entrepreneurship, get a great job, save the money you need to be an entrepreneur, and then go ahead and be an entrepreneur, right? Or get a great job while being an entrepreneur, depending on what it is that you're being an entrepreneur for. So Lady Click Photography, for example, can still take the pictures, but if there isn't enough gigs, there's ways of kind of subsidizing the income to make sure that she can kind of do what she's so passionate about and do it where she can buy new equipment, she can do certain things that, she's not worried about, I don't have gigs right now. She knows there's money coming in, for example. And that's kind of
Right.
what my purpose is to try and help people understand there's jobs. You just need to know where to look, and you need to know how to navigate to get there faster.
Your workshops, Joe, are one-on-one, or you have a group, or right now
Both.
you have a webinar? Both.
So I'm going to be doing a webinar at the end of January, early February. People can request to do one-on-one coaching. I do offer that as well. People can do the online course for $97. And people that join my Facebook group will be invited to like special Zoom calls where they can ask me direct questions and be involved in the conversation because they're already going through the process in part or have already gone through the process.
Mm-hmm. How wise is it right now with COVID? Because you've been doing that job for, let's say, 5-10 years, and you're fed up and you want to be able to learn something new within the same company that you're working with, or maybe trying another company altogether. And I know your answer is going to say, yeah, I can help you with that. Absolutely. Especially if you've been doing that for 5-10 years. But I hear that right now it's not a good time for you to transition to a new position or another company altogether. What do you have to say about that?
Listen, again, I'm of philosophy that for most people, they're terrified of transitioning because of the fact that the devil you know is better than the devil you don't, kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is why a lot of people go back to their exes because they know that person as opposed to somebody new. They know their habits or their routines, okay? The only person that knows for certain what's going to happen is God, Allah, whatever faith that Jesus that you believe in that has a divine master plan for you. I could wake up tomorrow and God forbid get hit by a car. So was that a
Mm-hmm.
good time to go look for a job or not? No. You have to understand most people, like, if I may share a quick story. So when I was a stock trader, and
You've done that too? Wow.
yeah, it's one of the careers I've changed. And I left that industry and became a recruiter. I called 37 people that used to work with me, that used to kind of complain every single day about how much they hate working for the bank, how miserable they are, everything like that. And as a recruiter, one of my first clients was E-Trade Canada. And I called all 37 people on their personal cell phone on the weekends and said, since I know you, since you're licensed, all you have to do is come in, shake hands. There won't even be an interview. I will get you an $8,000 raise, double your bonuses, better benefits, and instead of working in Mississauga, you'll work downtown in the financial district. And since I know you work shift work, if you work from 8 to 5, I'll schedule it at 8 o'clock at night. If you work from 11 to, let's say, 7 or 8, I'll schedule it at 8 o'clock in the morning so you don't miss a single hour of work, right? And I'm talking about basically the full package was doubling their income. So it's like a $40,000 raise, the full package.
Wow.
Care to guess out of 37 people how many went?
One?
Yes, one, right? And then I got all the excuses in the world. Well, what if, well, you know what? I got used to taking a nap while I go home from work. I go, let me get this straight. A nap is worth more than doubling your salary, right? People were like, you know what? I have the shift I like here at the work. So again, your shift is worth more than doubling your salary, right? Well, what if I screw up and I get fired? Your license, you're going to using the same software that you're using right now at the bank. There is no difference. But people have this innate fear that if they change, it's the worst thing that they can do, right? So yes, COVID's a little bit crazy, but we have a vaccine now. There's new hope that sometime, hopefully by the end of 2021, life will start being normal again. So transitioning is about, do you have confidence that you can improve how good you are? It's like, there is no real timing or good timing, because
Yes, it's true.
as much as you plan life, things happen in life that you don't plan for, and they kind of throw you off kilter, right? Lizy, like I know that you've been going through a difficult time right now with the passing of your father. My deepest condolences. But I'm sure you
Thank
didn't
you.
plan for him to pass away, let's say, just before Christmas, right? So this is what I said, as much as you plan the right time, life happens.
Right?
That's
incredible.
If you're unhappy, do something to make yourself happy.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one of the things that I love about you, Joe, is that your optimism and your dedication, your passion to help people is incredible. And just the fact that you're just telling us that there is light at the end of the tunnel, that's incredible, because we're not hearing this lately. It's all about, one of the things that I love about my show is that
the news is depressing.
Yes, the news are depressing, and that's one of the things that I love about the Lizy Tri Show. I bring musicians so we can get more happy and listen to great music, but you have definitely breaking all my rules and enlighten us just with information, because I mean, not everybody is going to be an entrepreneur, and we need doctors. We need great graphic artists. We need things like that in this world, right? There is not, everybody's not going to be an entrepreneur. So, I think that by you be able to help, but you'd be able to help people out there with great looking resume, great tips for interviews, great tips to land the dream job. And that's really what we're talking about. Land that dream job. And a lot of people are thinking there is no such a thing. You just get what you get, and not necessarily has to be that way.
Those are people that settle, and they're settled because they're desperate. And unfortunately, these are desperate times. But again, the reason they settle and they're desperate is because they do what everybody else does. And therefore, it's much harder, and it's a longer process to get to where they want to go. You don't need to start at the bottom. Let's say if you're a new immigrant and work your way up to the top, if you're good at what you do and you know how to share the results, you can start more or less at the level that you work, right? And I've helped lots of immigrants do exactly that, right? So it's really a level of, where and how kind of people approach it, and are they asking the right questions? Are they taking the right steps? This is where I kind of focus my energy on just this and nothing else, because I know this inside and out. Like, I can talk to you about dating, but I don't call I'm not a dating coach. I've yo-yoed with my weight all my life. That doesn't make me a personal trainer, right? Yes, I've tried diets. Some of them work, some of them didn't work, whatever. But, there's experts for that, and you need to find the one that you connect with that makes sense to you. If what I've said to you, like, okay, this worked, but you don't like my personality, I'm very loud, I'm very animated. Okay, go find a career coach that is the right fit for you, that can help you get that job faster. I'm not the only one in North America. There's plenty of great experts, and they know what they're doing. right?
And that's one of the things that I love about what you said too, is that not only you can help people here in Canada, but also in the US. And I'm not sure if you branch into Europe. Usually we have about 58 countries that if they're not watching us right now, they will be watching us later on. I'm not sure if we are, did you give us your website? You did, right? The website
Um,
is
so like Land Your Dream Job on Facebook is uh, like where you can get a hold of
the,
me. LinkedIn is Josef Stetter or the Celebrate Group. You know,
the
I'm pretty easily found. I'm happy to answer any questions. I will kind of check in on the on the replays.
Instagram.
I'm happy to answer any questions. At the end of the day, I sent you my link to my course, Lizy, if you can share that, because, like I said, I want to help people succeed.
And I appreciate you. This is a great gift for all of you on 2021. This has been great. Thank you for your comments, your hearts, just the fact that you're here. Again, this is recorded here on IGTV. And if you have any questions going forward or in the future, don't hesitate to contact me or even Joe directly. Joe, it's been a blast. I can't believe we've been here for a year.
Yeah,
I mean, an hour, it seems like it's 5 minutes, and all of a sudden we got to go. But I want to thank you so much. I will have the links for people to connect with you, and I appreciate all the amazing tips that you have given us today. This is incredible. I know you charge for that information, but you were graciously enough to volunteer all that information for my followers. So I appreciate you, and I thank you so much.
thank you again. It's been an honor and a pleasure, and I've enjoyed it. And if there's anything else I can do to support you and your business, please let me know. It would be a privilege.
Okay. Thank you so much, Joe, and have an amazing evening.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye. Wow, everyone. I hope that you learned something, that you were able to get some information and that you were able to pick up things. I know that there was a lot. There was a lot, but all of it was good, and all that information is needed, especially nowadays. If you know someone that's struggling to find a job, they got fired, they got laid off, they got let go because of COVID, please forward this link to them for them to be able to get in touch with Joe and his workshop, and obviously his webinar that will be starting the end of this month and or beginning of February. There are links in here as well for Joe's website and Facebook group, and also his webinar. So this has been incredible. I hope you enjoy it. I hope that you got some golden nuggets. I did personally. There's so much things that I learned. I haven't been looking for work for over 25 years. So really, this is all brand new. And but I think a lot of people out there need this type of information. Joe was again graciously enough to share information that he charged for, but. Being here on the Lizy T Show, he decided to be gracious and be giving us late Christmas. I still have my Christmas tree up there. Um, uh, Graciously enough, volunteer all that information. So join us. We will be back, everyone, with another guest, another show, and more information. Hopefully, enjoy. Comment, like, and share. I'm your host and one of the producers of the Lizy T Show. We'll see you soon. Bye bye for now.